Happy Friday, everybody.
Hello.
We've made it through a week. A crazy, weird, wonky week that is difficult to get through, but we made it. We did it. We actually did get through it. So hurrah for us on that. Let's see. First one in is Robert. Robert, glad to have you back. We missed you. How has work been? I know that you've been taking calls instead of coming and goofing off with us. So way to be responsible and do things that you need to do. That's good. All right, we've got let's see, it is our free for all Friday today. It is our free for all Friday. So we've got a link. We're gonna put it up in the chat there, and people can come join us if you'd like. Emily is here as well. So if you're the first one in the chat, you get a point, just like Robert did here. You'll want to do that. To be able to do that, you'll want to subscribe, or you'll want to follow, and then you'll want to set up your alerts so that it lets you know when we go live. It's about 7 o'clock every night, give or take. If for some reason we can't do it at 7 o'clock, then there is social media. We'll post up to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and let you know that we're running a little late, or if we have to go a little early or something like that. Well, significantly one way or the other. So yeah. So you'll want to follow us on those, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. It's a Wasted Hour on Twitter, another Wasted Hour on all of the others. Emily and Karen have joined us.
You should flip us in Zoom.
Well, I think they can't read it if we flip in Zoom, right?
Hi, y'all.
Hello.
I just want to introduce you to Renita and Sean.
Oh, they're here.
Face. Oh,
Hey. Awesome.
Hello.
So glad you could make
this
it.
reminds me, we
no.
never announced our
We are
winner for
having
last
our
week.
First in-person happy hour since COVID.
That's so exciting. Well, we're
Yeah.
really happy for you. Let's see. I think we need to make sure that we've got audio for you guys. I'm going to switch over to the Zoom thing so that everybody else doesn't think we're just talking to random people. Why is that not showing correctly? That seems like it should be.
While you're figuring that out,
But
can
I'm
I
gonna
announce our
hop
winner?
off right now because I'm with a lot of people.
Wait, before you go.
Before you go, we have to tell you something.
Okay, what?
Well, we don't have to tell you anything. We do have to tell Renita something.
Yeah, we need Renita to come over on.
Hey, Renita, you won the
Yes.
T-shirt.
I did.
Last week. Yeah, you're our winner.
So if you can get us your address and the size T-shirt that you want, we'll mail that to you.
The largest you have. I'm like a triple X.
All right. Well, we'll do our best.
Thank you.
Can you get us
And if you
your
don't have it,
address?
again, and I'll send my address.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Well, Emily, have a great time doing your get together, and we'll catch you later. Why is our Zoom thing looking weird?
Well, I don't know.
That seems strange, right? Isn't that a weird thing that it's trying to? It looks like it should be updating, but it's just not.
Let's see. Who do we have here? We have Septic says good afternoon.
Yes.
Robert has tagged someone. I gave Robert a point for that. Craig's here.
All right.
Septic enjoys my night garments. This is my adult size onesie. It has a butt flap, which is very important. Ian's gonna flip in Zoom, all right. Craig has to dip out to go get his dinner. What do you get for dinner, Craig? Maybe he got it from that Chinese place that you like so bad that's across the street.
I think I fixed it. I think I have now fixed it. There
Good
we
job.
go. What? Who? Craig got some food? What?
Craig is going to have to leave for about 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Will you repost the Zoom link? Diana doesn't have it.
Yes, we will get the Zoom link up. If people want to join us as a free-for-all Friday, we're going to go back and forth a little from the Zoom instead of having it in one of the corners the whole time. And that way, hopefully, the folks who are on Zoom will get a little more attention, and we will also have a little more space to do all the things. It was a little crowded, I felt like. So we're going to go back around, and whenever we ask questions, we'll kind of go to the Zoom and see what people think about it. And yeah, so that.
Hi, Cat Baloo.
I guess we should flip it here because it does seem like it's backwards for everybody who's watching, and I want them to be able to read this at least, partially. So maybe we can fix that. It feels like that could use some work. Karen, how are you doing?
Now
She
she's
leaves.
walking away.
Did you have
Okay, I'll be right back.
All right. She's like, just as I say it, she was like, I'm out, which timing is everything sometimes. All right, so I'm going to hold on, what am I doing? I'm doing this. This is my main scene that you're seeing. Hold, please. And I'm going to flip this. It's going to be backwards for the people who are in the Zoom meeting, but that's okay, I think. Oh, no, not that. Not that. Don't do that. Let's go back to the Zoom scene there. Because I want people to be able to try and at least read the questions while we're hanging out with the Zoom peoples. All right, so there we go. We got a bunch of people. We got 12 people. That's more people than we've had in a while. Christina is here. Ian is here. Trey is here. This is just a party at this point. I am going to go in and share the show because that's a thing that we usually do. Again, you get a point for sharing the show on Facebook if you do it publicly. And that will show up.
All right, so there we go. We got a bunch of
Oh, yeah, I
people.
got to
We got
stop
12.
that. Don't hear that. So yeah, we will want to go if we go to my logo scene here. Yep. Oh, look, see, Robert has shared. Just did it. I'm also gonna go share as myself and put it up on my profile because I'm very proud of what we're doing. So you can see right there, like that. So if we're in this scene, that's what you'll get. And then I need to I'm gonna post the link one more time here and then pin that in Facebook so people who are coming in a little later can jump on and be a part of it. So pin that comment. Emily has shared as well. Thank you, Emily. And you can share it as your story if you want. I'm going to share it in a group, which is another thing that you can do. I'm surprised sharing takes a little bit of time. It takes a few seconds to actually get everything going. But so we're going to share to another wasted group, the group where we talk about the show and what we might be changing and doing and stuff like that. All right, so we have enough people. We've got 14 people. That's too many people almost. That feels like just a crap ton of people. I don't even know what we're supposed to do with that. That's so many people. All right, so let's take a look at question number 1. And again, if people want to join in to the show, just hit the link for the Zoom chat there, and you can be a part of the show. Question number 1 is...
Who was the most prominent black scientist of the early 20th century and promoter of alternative crops to cotton and methods to prevent soil depletion?
All right, so we need that in 60 seconds, the answer. As we're going, we've our whole trivia theme for the week has been Black history, and so we're continuing on that with the way things have gone this week. We thought it was important that we have a little education on that side, and this is a show not only that is fun, but is one that is also quite educational, we like to think. So Septic says, oh, it's definitely Friday. It does get harder as we go, but that's all right. You might know this. You might know this as we get to the right answer. There's a chance. We have about 30 seconds left, so I'm going to go to Zoom and see, does anybody have anything on Zoom? No, Karen is still not here. Karen's not here. Oh, and the question has gone away. That's right, because the question is part of a different scene. So that is very tricky. All right, time is almost up, but Smiles is here. I'm glad that Smiles has joined us.
Hi, Smiles.
Smiles is, she's still getting acquainted there. I'm going to go to the chat since time's up, and we'll see what people answered. And we'll watch Facebook for everybody getting caught up. Oh, Renita has joined us.
Hi, Renita.
Hello.
Congratulations again.
Yes, congratulations. For those that were not on earlier, we didn't really announce it because we didn't see Renita this week. And so, but Renita is our winner last week, season 9. So we'll be sending a t-shirt out her way. And so yeah, it's very, very awesome. One more T-shirt winner, which is very exciting. All right, time's officially up. So we've got Ian says George Washington Carver. Craig says George Washington Carver. Trey says George Washington Carver. Emily says George Washington Carver. Robert goes with Martin Luther King. Renita goes George Washington Carver. Definitely a lot of people going with George Washington Carver. Trey would like to follow up with the peanut guy. Which
And sweet potatoes.
yes, Ian says, wait, Mr. Peanut?
No, it's different.
Yeah, everybody congratulate Renita for winning. That was great. That is not an easy feat to do. All right, so the most popular answer, George Washington Carver, is that the correct answer?
Yes.
It is the correct answer. I think that's one of those ones that you should totally know if you went to school in the United States. Although our education sometimes didn't go over all the atrocities that happened, we usually did study like a guy that grew peanuts.
Yeah. We always talk about the peanut guy.
Yeah. Well, he was very intelligent. I mean,
He's incredibly smart.
incredibly smart. Lots of inventions and things like that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's. I believe, if I remember right, he had a patent for making a telegraph, like a not a telegraph, what is it? A
Gram?
phonograph.
Photograph.
Phonograph needle out of peanuts.
No shit.
Yeah. So you like compressed like the peanut shells or something down into a phonograph needle. And those were very popular at the time because remember, phonographs in that time, that was where music was. So they got used constantly. So it was a renewable like phonograph needle made out of peanuts. I don't know how well it worked. I have no clue, but that's one thing that I had learned about George Washington Carver.
That's fascinating.
So let's move on to question number 2.
Question number 2. What 1793 invention is called an important, if unintended, cause of the American Civil War as it rejuvenated plantation slavery? Ugh,
All right.
can't talk today.
60 seconds on the clock. What invention that came out in 1793 rejuvenated the plantations and the enslavery of people on the plantations, and then because of that possibly may have caused the American Civil War. So yeah, questions. We got about 30 seconds left since everybody's gotten that question. I'm gonna go over to Zoom and see what we've got there. It looks like Karen is back. Hello, Karen. Do you have any ideas on this one?
She already answered.
Oh yeah, she's already got the answer. She's got an answer in. Smiles, how are you feeling on this?
I actually missed the questions.
Oh no! Read it again.
Hold, please.
It's an invention in 1700s.
What 1793 invention is called an important, if unintended, cause of the American Civil War as it rejuvenated plantation slavery?
All right, so you have to go put that in. Time's up, so I'm going to the chat. But remember, there's a delay on Facebook, so I have to wait for this to happen on Facebook before time is officially over. So go check that out.
So I see a lot of people are putting the cotton gin, which was the first thing that went to my mind.
Right, the most delicious of all the gins. The softest gin.
So you know about the Mandela effect, right? Where people like absolutely believe in their reality that Mandela died. Like
Oh yeah,
30
yeah.
years.
This is a
So,
thing
you know,
where like there's a fake piece of history, but everybody's heard it
Yes.
so much that we're absolutely certain that it's real history.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so does that have to do with the cotton gin?
It does.
Interesting.
Yeah. I am one of them. I very, very, very clearly, distinctly learning in Black History Month that the cotton gin was invented by a Black man. His
Oh,
name,
interesting.
and it wasn't.
No.
No.
So,
Eli
yeah.
Whitney was white.
Eli
Yeah.
Whitney sounds
Eli Whitney.
possibly like a like a Black name maybe, and so
Mhm.
people maybe
Maybe.
associated with that. I don't
don't
know,
know.
but yeah, no, definitely a white dude.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah,
I
I know
remember
that
the
now.
same thing, Diana.
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah. I was absolutely taught that. Like you cannot convince me otherwise.
We actually just went through this earlier this week, right? Because we were going to put this in one of the first days, and I said, it's a good question. Let's do that later. I really want to be the first day. I'd like it to be really focused on African Americans And since Eli Whitney's not African American, like, let's push him later. I think it's not a bad fact to know about because it's definitely entwined with it. But let's do it later in the week. And she was like, what? And so we was looking stuff up, and she was like, son of a bitch.
And I think I had like unlearned that at some point,
Yeah.
and just, I don't know. But the focus for this particular question for me was the plantation slavery, and that's how it tied into Black history, not Eli Whitney.
You know what?
Right.
Here's what we should do. We should just give more Black people credit for inventing things that white people actually invented.
Yes.
Because the opposite is true all over the place.
That's so true.
right.
Right.
There's plenty of white people who've gotten credit for things that Black people actually invented. So why don't we just give this one to someone else?
At the
I don't have a problem
time
with
that the cotton gin was invented, if a Black man had invented the cotton gin, he would not have been able to get a patent on it because
Yeah.
it was not permissible for Black people to get patents.
And honestly, if we take a step back and think about it, there's a decent chance that a Black man did invent the cotton gin and it was stolen from that person. Right?
I
Like,
mean,
that's
know,
not
happened
unreasonable.
all the time.
Yeah. So let's just I don't think we need to be too correct about who actually came up with that
Septic
idea.
would like to know, what is a cotton gin?
Ah, very cool. Well, let's first say I'm gonna go to the Zoom here because let's make sure we got all the questions. Mainly cotton gin, not seen. Underground tunnel, says Robert, which is great. So the Underground Railroad could also have been a reason for the war as well, because really, if you think about it, the reason that the South decided that they needed to secede from the Union was because the North wouldn't respect the fact that their property, right? Because the North, when a slave made it across, or enslaved person made it across the Mason-Dixon line, they were just considered free and they wouldn't return them.
Yeah.
And rightfully so.
Right. Because that's tacky.
Yeah. So they were like, we're bitches about that, and we're gonna start a war. Which is ironic when you think about it. I'm gonna go over to the Zoom. I want to speak to this real quick because I think it's really ironic, and I think it's a thing we don't talk about very often, because the whole War of Northern Aggression concept is based around this idea that it wasn't about slavery, it was about state rights. But you can blow that out of the water if all you do is think about it in return, which is that the South had state laws that said that they could have enslaved people, and the North had state laws that said that they couldn't have enslaved people. And the fact that the North wasn't respecting the South state laws is what the South was upset about. So the South didn't give a shit about state laws. They gave a crap that nobody was respecting their state laws.
Right.
Right? It wasn't about the independence of states.
No.
That's what they tend to like make it up about, right? Is that like it's really about the state autonomy or the state power over federal power. There was no federal law that said you couldn't return enslaved people. The states just were like, we're not doing it. So I think I just think that argument is like blown out of the water if you just put it in perspective. A little ranty, but there we go. Correct answer.
Cotton gin.
It is. I just don't feel like sometimes we talk about those things that if you're going to like try and like slough it off as like, oh no, it wasn't a big deal, we're just doing this other thing. Well, then why are you going exactly against that other thing? All right. Let's see. So what were you saying? Oh, we want to do, what is a cotton gin?
Oh, we
Septic's
did
over
that.
in the UK, and so doesn't know much about those things.
Craig answered that question. Cotton
Craig.
gins are machines that separate out the seeds from the cotton fibers.
And I believe what it is it's like kind of a grate, right? And then under the grate, there's like a barrel thing with kind of needles, right? And what happens is you put the cotton in the top, and then you run the drum, and the drum catches some of the cotton and pulls it down into the machine. But the seeds are too big to be able to get
Yeah,
pulled
so
through.
instead of removing the seeds from the cotton, it removes the cotton from the seeds.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. What else is it people saying? Okay, so it's not made from cotton plants. It is not. Robert says, we do trivia every night at 1900. for an hour. Imagine that. Is true. Where did Kimberly? Did Kimberly come in? Hi, Kimberly. I don't see anything
Hello,
from
Kimberly.
but
Well,
welcome.
we haven't asked a question since Kimberly's gotten here.
And
so.
Rose Ellen has joined. She got in
Hi,
just
Rose
a little
Ellen.
late for the question, but would have gotten it right if on time. So this is great. A lot of
Dagger.
people. Ian says that the Cotton Gin is a drink from the Cotton Club. A lot of people don't know
That's
that.
not helpful.
No, it's not at all. Let's see. Like a card machine for wool, but sized for cotton fibers. That is a really good way of putting it. All right. So let's move on to question number 3.
Question number 3.
Question number 3.
Here's a tough one. Harriet Tubman is well known for escaping slavery and rescuing approximately 70 enslaved people. Can you give her birth name?
This is tricky because I think, at least in the U.S., a lot of people know who Harriet Tubman is.
But people don't realize that that was not her given name.
Right. That's the tricky part, is that a lot of people I don't ever think ever learn what her actual birth name was. It's just Harriet Tubman is the myth, the legend of Harriet Tubman. So yeah, these are harder. This is a Friday, so it's a trickier bit, but these are, not only do we get make believe internet points here for answering trivia questions correctly, but sometimes we also learn things, and this is an opportunity for us to do that. Trey goes with Harriet the Spy. That is
Good one.
probably not actually her birth name. Maybe that's what she ended up being. Ian goes with Harriet Marvello Riddle, which is,
All right.
I don't know why you've made her evil. That seems really unfortunate. Dana goes with Minty. I was being killed by a chest support device and getting dinner. Oh, a chest support device. Those are murder, especially after a long day. You can tell whenever I have had a significant other and it's been a long day and they get home and that comes off and they just go, "Oh, Jesus." And it's like, "Oh, that's rough." Let's see. Okay, we've got a few other answers going in. I didn't hit the button, but I think we're about at time, right? Because our first question that came in was 1927. Yeah, we've definitely had a minute go by. So I'm going to go over to our chat so we can see what people have said. Arminta Ross seems to be the most popular of our answers. Emily and Renita and Rose Ellen have all gone on with that. Let's see. Imagine being an Old West legend. How awesome that would be. An Old West legend. I mean, I guess that would be pretty cool. Craig says, don't honestly know, but I'm assuming it's close to fucking badass Tubman. I mean,
She changed her name approximately the time she got married, and Harriet was her mother's name. Or no, wait, she took part of her mother's name.
yeah. You're going to...
I'm
Well-
Googling myself.
Time is up, so let's find out what the correct answer is.
Yeah, Harriet was her mother's name.
Harriet was her mother's name. Okay, then. And then, and so what was her birth name?
Araminta Ross.
Araminta Ross. So I have to say, Diana, surprisingly close with Minty.
So here's
Well,
my.
I watched the movie, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember her full name, but I remember.
I'm giving you 1 point,
1 point.
Ooh.
but I'm not going to give you the 2 points because Emily actually got the whole name right.
That
first.
seems fair. I think that's a fair way of approaching that.
That is possibly the first time I was ever because I'm always on like a 45-second delay. So,
Well, that's the thing. So we know that Twitch is faster than Facebook, and YouTube I think is also faster than Facebook. But if you want the fastest line to the question, it is Zoom, because although they're not seeing the question before you do, it's being read out loud, and everybody in the Zoom link is hearing it immediately.
Can you put the Zoom link in the chat again?
Yeah, Zoom link in the chat, no problem. So there you go. Emily says, sorry, smiles. You'll get another one. You'll get
No
it
big deal.
again. It's fine. Let's go on to question number 3.
4.
4.
This is more modern. Can you name the 28-year-old woman found hanging in her jail cell in Waller County, Texas, 3 days after being arrested during a traffic stop?
Mm-hmm.
This is a really sad story.
It is. 60 seconds on the clock. Tell us who is at the center of this very sad story. And the arguably suspicious story.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of hangings that happen, right? I feel like they take all the things you can hang yourself with away usually. But some people do die in jail.
Yeah.
This was one person. Jeffrey Epstein happened to be another one. Just coincidental.
Just totally coincidental.
All right. So let's see. We've got some answers coming in. We've got about 15 seconds left. So folks on Zoom, did you hear about this story? Do you remember this one?
Thank you.
I don't.
You don't?
Hi, Danny.
I don't remember it.
No. Okay. Fairly recent.
Couple years ago.
Yeah, just a few years ago. All right, time is up. We're going to go over to the chat real quick and see what people said. It looks like pretty much across the boards. Now, we're still waiting for more answers to come in, but Sandra Bland is the most popular answer. Trey's got to go riding. All right, good luck, Trey. I hope...
I don't know if you saw, Trey pointed out that it's been pouring rain in Warfield today and yesterday.
Yes, it has
Yeah.
been. But it's supposed to be very nice on Saturday and Sunday.
A little hotter on Saturday. A little
Yeah,
nicer on Sunday.
that's true. All right, so time's up over there on Facebook as well. Is the correct answer Sandra Bland?
Yes.
Yes, it is. So first one to get that is Emily, Trey, Craig, Karen, and Renita all get points for that as well. Very sad and mysterious story. Look it up if you don't recall it. So Sandra Bland happened down in Texas just a few years ago. Just weird. Very, very weird and in suspicious circumstances. Maybe nothing happened, but it just seems very odd because nobody said that she seemed depressed or anything
Well,
like
she
that.
did have like cut marks on her arms that were pre-existing.
Right. But she also had like didn't she have a daughter, I feel like?
Yeah.
And at the time when it was all happening, people were saying that she was in high spirits and there was no
Yeah.
talk of anything.
The whole story is just
It's very bizarre.
bonkers.
I don't know, I can't say if, one way or the other what went down, but it is a suspicious thing. And
Well, it goes back to your point that like once you take someone into custody, it is your job to keep that person safe.
yeah, and even from themselves, if that was the case, right? Because just like if you take custody of a child, right? If I were to take custody of a child and then I like didn't feed that kid, right? That would be on me, right? I could sit there and be like, well, I mean, the kid could feed themselves, but like that's not the point. I have custody over the child. So if I take custody of someone who, let's remember, in all of these cases, they're all innocent people because in the United States of America, you are innocent until you're proven guilty. So none of these people were proven guilty. So all innocent people who deserve to be looked after and taken care of as if they were free, normal American citizens because they are free American citizens. That is what they are. They are currently being detained because they're under suspicion of something happening, right? They're under arrest, but they're not guilty of that thing yet. So we have to make sure that they are healthy and alive. That's our job. If our system can't do that, then there's bigger problems.
Then our system sucks.
Right, exactly.
And spoiler alert, our system sucks.
All right. Question number 5.
Question number 5. In addition to being the first black presidential candidate in the U.S., which we learned earlier this week, Frederick Douglass also published an abolitionist newspaper. Can you name the newspaper?
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Frederick Douglass, not to be confused with Frederick Dulles, who I assume made the airport near us.
No,
That's different.
Dulles.
No? Okay. All right, so let's get the answers in. We need to know what his abolitionist newspaper, the one he published, was called. Kind of a big deal, kind of important, especially for its time. About 30 seconds left. Let's go over to the Zoom and see how people are feeling. Danny, you've got an answer, and how are you feeling about your answer? Pretty confident?
I'm feeling pretty confident.
Yeah, you're feeling pretty good? So you're saying, like, if other people wanted points, they might want to follow you. And then Diana's like, yep, I'm in.
I have had a weird day.
Oh, yeah? What's your weird day?
Additional saga of the housemate. I think I met one of his booty calls who came over to hang out today.
Oh,
wow.
I accidentally asked how he knew so-and-so. And he went, well, I met him on Tinder. I'm like, oh.
no
That's
grinder?
awkward.
I feel like that's the way to go. Oh,
So
man.
we've been talking about Animal Crossing for an hour. I'm like, how much more weirder can my life get here?
All right, time's up. We're going to go over to the chat and see what people answered here. Let's see. We've got the North Star. A lot of people are going with that. Danny and Diana and Rose Ellen and Craig and Emily all said that. And then Karen said the North Star by following Danny. Robert just said Karen, so believes nobody's going to get that right. Or believes that is following Karen, who's following Danny. One of the two. I'm not sure what he meant by that, but time's up over on Facebook as well. So we've got a Karen that's been thrown. We've only got one answer that's out there right now. So it's really all or nothing. I don't even have to say, did anybody get it right? Because if anyone got it right, then we know what the right answer is. So is the North Star the correct answer?
That is the correct answer.
It is. All right. 2 points to Danny, Diana, and Rose Ellen and Craig and Emily and Karen all get 1 point. Robert, unfortunately, you lose a point on that one. But that's okay. That's all right. We're learning these very important things while we go it. We'll move over to the Zoom while we take a look at people's scores, because we're at the halfway point in the show. So how is everybody stacking up against each other?
Well, Robert lost a point, so now he's down to 1 point.
Oh, no.
With 2 points, we have Rose Ellen, Diana, and Danny. With 3 points, we have Trey, Karen, and Ian. With 4 points, we have Renita. With 5 points, we have Craig. And Emily has 7 points at the top of the heap.
Emily at the top of the heap with 7 points. All right. This is very good. It's still pretty packed together. Anybody could still win this. And then don't forget, at the end of the week, whoever the winner is, we take all of these make-believe fake internet points that aren't worth anything, and we accumulate them together. We determine a winner, and that winner gets a T-shirt. Look at that T-shirt. There it is. Way up.
Danny's got a T-shirt.
Yeah, Danny's wearing her T-shirt. Karen's not wearing her T-shirt.
Jeez, Karen.
Oh, Karen. Missed
Maybe
an
her son
opportunity.
has stolen her T-shirt.
That might be. Has he owned it now?
Pretty much.
Basically
A little big.
co-opted
It's
your
a dress.
T-shirt. Aw.
Well, I'm glad he's enjoying it.
Oh, your cat
But
has
it is
joined
very
us.
comfy.
Oh,
I
kitty.
did wear it for like 2.5 days straight at one point.
Nice.
We have it looks like a mad kitty right behind.
It does
Karen.
look like an angry kitty.
There's an,
Yeah.
is that
All the
like
squish faces look angry.
just why am I
So
here
that's just
doing
what the cat's
trivia?
face look.
Right. That's just it's always like that. It's resting cat bitch face.
It looks so floofy.
Yeah, there's a lot of floof on that cat. All right, let's move on to question number 6.
Question number 6. Wait, I have to resort my thing.
Resort your thing. Do you want me to read it?
No.
What was
The agreement struck between Booker T.
was-
Washington, president of the Tuskegee Institute, other African American leaders, and Southern white leaders. It's kind of famous.
All right, 60 seconds. Very famous agreement struck between Booker T. Washington, president of Tuskegee Institute, other African American leaders, and Southern white leaders. What was the name of that agreement? So 60 seconds. We got about 40 seconds left out of the 60 seconds. Let's get your answers up in here. This is a much more popular day. We're at 12 people, which was, I think, our height the other day. Maybe.
Hey, that's great.
This is, we're back to some numbers, I was going to say.
That's why I came to join you guys for a half hour after BD called Guy, bought me dinner. Complicated.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And then he went, "You're not eating with us?" I'm like, I think you should go hang out with your booty call. I'll be back later.
What'd you have for dinner?
He bought me Chinese food.
That's good.
Nice.
I like Chinese food.
So I feel like I crashed something.
You
today.
know that's true.
I probably did.
Hmm.
I shouldn't be asking questions about.
I like
random
fried
facts
rice.
Don't start singing that song.
What?
Do
I like
not-
noodles.
Do not start singing that song.
I feel like you're about to sing a song that Caitlin's gonna. Get
I like
angry
chow mein.
Don't you?
mein. Look up.
Caitlin, I just want to say,
Yeah.
I did not provoke him doing that.
I know you didn't.
No.
He did it all on his own.
That was my fault. Yeah, but go on the internet right now while we're between questions and look up I love Chinese food. You need to do that. Time's up. Let's see what we've got. A lot of people. We've got the Atlanta Compromise. We've got the Boston Tea Party. A lot of people going with that. Rose Ellen says, I like brownies. Brownies are also very good. That is, you know what? That's another thing. What we should just start doing is we're just going to start like taking things that we don't know who the inventors are and just attributing them to African American folks.
That seems
We're
going to
reappropriate things. Brownies, African Americans.
That's not.
Yep.
Let's not reappropriate things. That's.
I'm
been
just
happening to
saying
the
they
African-American
invented
community for a long
brownies.
time.
They're delicious,
This is.
and they
no.
were invented by African Americans.
Stop.
A lot of people don't know that,
Stop it.
but that's the truth.
Stop.
Mm-hmm. See, it's not nice when people do it. I'm just pointing that out. All right, so looks like we have two main answers. Boston Tea Party and Atlanta Compromise.
You have Septic's attention with the Tea Party.
Yeah, Septic likes a tea party. He's over in the UK. Everybody in the UK likes tea parties. What is the correct answer?
It's the Atlanta Compromise.
The Atlanta Compromise. Well done. We had a few people who got it over on the Zoom. Does anybody know more about the Atlanta Compromise? Do you know what it was over there on Zoom? What did they compromise about? Anyone? No? Caitlin, yes, you look like you have. Yeah, what would you?
The agreement was that Southern blacks would work and submit to white political rule, while Southern whites guaranteed that blacks would receive basic education and due process in law.
There you have it. That was what was agreed upon. All right, so let's move on to question number 7. Question number 7, all right? Rosellen was saying, says, I wasn't saying that. I was talking of actual food. What? Actual food? You like brownies? Right. Isn't that what we're talking about? Brownies are delicious. That's right.
Can we move on from the brownies, please?
Sure. Yeah, we can move on for the brownies. I thought that's what we're talking about is the dessert, and they're amazing.
Question 7.
Yes, go.
Who is the African American civil rights leader and union organizer in Alabama who played a crucial role in organizing the landmark Montgomery bus boycott there in 1955?
All right, 60 seconds on the clock to get your answers into the chat. All right, so this is a tough one. Maybe people know it, maybe people don't know it.
Can you read it again, please?
Sure.
Who is the African American civil rights leader and union organizer in Alabama who played a crucial role in organizing the landmark Montgomery bus boycott in 1955?
All right, we'll go over to Zoom here. About 30 seconds left. How are people feeling? What do you think might be the answer? Any ideas?
I'll know it after I read it.
After you
it's
read it, you'll be like,
MLK.
"That's right." That's one way of doing it. That's for sure. We have a couple of Martin Luther King Juniors. I presume juniors. We have Edgar Daniel Nixon. Those are the big ones there. We have reached 100 messages. That's pretty exciting. Time's up, so let's go over to the chat and see what if anybody else has any answers. Most
MLK
popular
wasn't
answer
in
right
there.
now, MLK, it looks like. We've only got one with the Edgar Daniel Nixon. Ralph Abernathy, says Emily.
Why can't you read?
I don't know. I can't do it. Not today. It's Friday. It's been too long of a week. I've lost all abilities. Time's up over on Facebook, too. So 3 contenders. Edgar, Ralph, and Malcolm. Or Martin, I mean. Martin, Ralph, and Edgar. Which one is correct?
Edgar Daniel Nixon.
Edgar Daniel Nixon is correct. 2 points to Danny. We have to learn about Ralph Abernathy. Are you looking him up now?
Yeah, so Ralph Abernathy was not a union leader. He was a Baptist minister, but he was he helped create the Montgomery Improvement Association, which did lead the Montgomery bus boycott.
Ah, all right. Sorry, I thought that was misconstrued. No, not misconstrued at all. We all love brownies. I think they're fantastic. I was just making light of it and trying to give people credit that have had credit taken from them for centuries. So that was my own little rant. Question number 8.
Question number 8. The Selma to Montgomery marches were held on what highway in 1965? Fun fact, the highway where the marches were held is now a National Historic Trail.
All right, so 60 seconds on the clock.
The Selma to Montgomery marches highway, Danny.
Danny. That's the official name now. It's long.
Bold answer.
It's good old Route Selma to Montgomery March Highway.
Trail.
That is a
Trail. Hey, you know what? In Boston, they have like the Boston Freedom Trail or something. Or,
Yep.
we name things very blatantly in Boston and New England.
Is that a road or is that like I thought that was a thing, like it was for tourists to
Yeah,
go
it's
around.
like a walking
It's
trail.
like a tourist.
Yeah, it's
trail
like a
in
walking tour thing, right?
Boston. Yeah.
This is a highway. You don't want people walking on the highway, Danny. It's very important. That is, yeah, it's very dangerous.
You know, Keith, I don't drive, okay? So I walk everywhere.
Yeah. Don't walk in the highways. I'm just saying. Don't do that.
Karen has thrown a Karen.
Oh, all right. Time is up. We're going to go over to the chat and see what people have to say there. Emily has also thrown a Karen. Oh my goodness. The Karens start piling in. It's going to be Selma to Montgomery Marches Highway, and then everybody's going to feel really silly. Robert has also gone with a Karen. Time is almost up on Facebook.
Can't believe I didn't go with a Karen.
Oh, yeah, right? It's like, oh, that's right. There's also that option. All right, time's up over on Facebook as well. So we've got the S&M Highway, says Craig.
That's a different thing.
That's a totally different highway. Yeah. So and then it's weird because you would think at least if you're gonna go Selma to Montgomery marches, you'd at least go with a freeway. Like that feels like it would follow the theme better, but I don't know. So let's see. Robert says following Karen this time. We have
I
three.
came close to a dad joke.
Yeah. Three different Karens have been thrown. So did anyone get the correct answer? No. So 3 points go out. Karen, Emily, and Robert each getting points. Congratulations to you. What is the correct answer?
U.S. Highway 80.
There you go. It's super straightforward and easy. And what was it called now? You said that stretch of road?
It's a National Historic Trail.
A National Historic Trail. So that it is Route 80. All right, so we're getting towards the end here. Is this question 9?
9.
It is. All right. What is question 9?
The penultimate question.
It is the penultimate question. Let's do it.
This question was provided by Keith. What group of legislators is honored by the Expelled Because of Their Color monument and is located, What group of legislators is honored by the Expelled Because of Their Color monument, which is located near the Capitol Avenue entrance of the Georgia State Capitol?
There you go. 60 seconds on the clock. We only had to read it 3 times. What group of legislators is honored by the Expelled Because of Their Color monument located near the Capitol Avenue entrance of the Georgia State Capitol?
Karen.
Danny says Karen.
You're
No,
just throwing a
sorry.
Karen now.
Diana says Karen.
Waiting on Danny.
Waiting on Danny. Oh my goodness, it all rests on Danny.
Look at Danny's face right now.
This is a good one. For the record, when we go through this, I beseech each of you, take a few minutes
Yeah.
after the show is over, look this up. It's crazy. Like, it's something that we weren't taught really in school, and it will blow your mind what went down in relationship to this. Yeah. So time we got about 5 seconds left.
I'm throwing a Karen. I have no idea.
Everyone's throwing Karens. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we need to start doing a mutiny and everybody throw Karens on every vote.
But nobody will win, right? It's just a tie. Everyone ties, same amount for everything. Let's go to the chat and see what people have gone to. Mainly Karens. There's a couple Tom Marvello riddles. The Knights Who Say Knee, says Alan. Oh, Alan. It is not the Knights That Say Knee. I know that. I'll give you a style point for it. Well, I don't know. We haven't really been doing style points because it's been such a.
I'm not really in the mood to give style points.
Yeah, it's been kind of a rough week, but
This week has no style.
yeah, this week has no style. So time is up. So this one is fascinating. I'm gonna go over to Zoom to give people's a look on this as well. So if anybody else wants to join us in Zoom, by the way, I'll put the link up. You can still, it's the last question, but you can still join us. So it is the original 33 down in Georgia, right? And essentially, if you read up on this, it was where racists essentially had a coup against the government and threw out all of the black legally voted in legislators. Like that's a thing that happened. Did you know that? Were you aware of that? Because it wasn't like I don't remember reading anything about that like when I was in school. But 33 African Americans. What's that?
I was aware of it. Can't remember the name of it.
Yeah. So 33 African Americans were voted in as senators and representatives of Georgia's legislation, right? As legislators, as their Congress, right?
Constituency.
Well, they were the
They were voted
the
in
part
by
of the Congress, part of the
Yeah.
the state Congress, and they were either threatened, jailed, or murdered
Wow.
because white people didn't want to be ruled by black people.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, if we don't want to put too fine of a point on it, that's what it is. Because of white supremacy, that's what happened. So there was a point. You have to think about this. There was a point where 33 people made it into a state of color, made it into a state Congress. Around that same time, there were actually 2 members of federal Congress who were black as well. They made it into it. And then all of that went away and they changed everything and they killed people and they jailed people so that they didn't. And then it went basically for like, what was another like 100 years or something? At least like 60 or 80 years.
Yeah,
right?
the next time that the Georgia legislature had a black member was in the 60s. Just 70s?
1960s, I think late 60s.
Hang on, I have to look this
What,
up
and
again.
when was this again? This one was. So yeah, we think that like it's been like sometimes you were led to
Wow.
That was
believe.
1868. And the next time,
So
It says
1868 is when this happened.
1962.
1962.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that,
Wow.
think about that there were 33 members of the Georgia Congress who were black. And then this happened and 100 years almost went by before another one was elected. And if you don't think, what's that?
I still love how soon after a civil war that blacks were voted in.
Well,
Right.
you want to
That's
know why that
incredible.
was? It was because
Population.
No, it was because of population. So there were but there were so many African Americans in the South because they were now freed that if you think about it, you had plantation owners and their families, right? So, maybe like 4 or 7 people part of the family, but you probably had dozens of enslaved people on each of those properties. So when they were all freed, literally there were like 3 or 4 states in the South that were a majority black. So they could vote whoever they wanted in. And as soon as they did, they got murdered and they got jailed and they were intimidated. And then that happened for 100 years so that nobody else could make it in. That's what we did as a race. I personally didn't do it, but as a race, we did that. So awesome. That's us. That's if you ever want to feel uncomfortable about things, go dig into some of the details because it's
Horrifying.
yeah, it's like it's not even like it doesn't like people for some reason think that maybe like there was this whole thing about being enslaved and that was terrible, and then there was a civil war and all the slaves were freed, and then things have kind of gradually been getting better from there. And it's like, well, no, it kind of got really shitty even more, and then maybe it got a little better, and then it got a little worse, and then like all of these things just kept happening
Right.
throughout
It's like-
just history.
Well, it's like Caitlin's father said the other day. It's like nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Since the 60s. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, this week, while I don't know if you saw this, but in the Senate during George Floyd's funeral, they were having to try and strike down a bill that was supposed to make the lynching laws that they passed only like a handful of years ago less stringent. That's a thing that was happening in the Senate.
Yeah, lynching is not a federal crime in the United States of America, and the
Mm.
person who's standing in the way of it becoming a federal crime in the United States of America is Rand Paul.
Just something to keep in mind. And that's 2020, everybody. Lynching is not a federal offense. You can lynch people in terms of what our federal government says.
Insane.
Well,
Totally.
But I
bonkers.
thought that they actually,
Unless they're white, then there'll be a problem with it.
yeah, well,
Yeah, Of course.
well, all you have to do is break into their shops and burn something, and then that's probably a
Do
federal
whatever
crime.
you want.
All right, so
This country. Dumb.
although I thought that they did pass some things, I feel like maybe it's what it is. The House, I think, has unanimously passed it a couple times, and it won't make it through the Senate now.
Yeah, it's the Senate that's the
So
dickbag.
there you have it. That's the thing that's happening right now. You can go call your representatives and your senators and let them know that that's not something that you find acceptable. Let's move on to question number 10.
Question number 10, the last question. By what nickname was Greenwood, Tulsa, one of the most commercially successful and affluent majority African American communities in the United States known? Bonus point if you know when Greenwood, Tulsa was bombed.
There we go. 60 seconds on the clock.
What's the question?
What was the nickname of Greenwood, Tulsa,
Oh.
which happened to be one of the most commercially successful and affluently majorly African American communities in the United States? What was it known by? And then a bonus point if you know when it was bombed because it was successful.
Yeah.
And it was black. It was black.
You
and
got to
it was
look this one up
successful.
too, because literally the story is this community that was majority African American was doing so well and was more affluent in a lot of cases than the surrounding white communities.
Mhm.
And that made white people really uncomfortable. And so they decided to set it on fire, basically. Because
Yeah.
that's what you do when you're super reasonable.
Just in case people think that when people are talking about how protesters are, burning things down and it's terrible, just remember that sometimes white people burn things down not out of protest, but just because they feel threatened about it and they don't want other people to have things.
Yeah.
That's what white people do.
Just because we can't have nice things.
Some white people. It's not all white people, but you know what? Some of them do it. And so if you're going to say protesters are out there rioting and catching things on fire, guess what? Not all protesters are doing it. But if you're going to just paint with a broad stroke, let's do that. We can do that. And then you can say, yeah, this is the problem with those protesters. They're burning things and they're looting. And then we'll say, you know what the problem with those white people are? They burn things and they loot things, and they didn't even have anything to be upset about. They were just mad that other people had things,
They're
not
jealous and
not injustice,
ridiculous.
just the fact that they had actually found success somehow and been able to make it through the hurdles, and that wasn't acceptable. All right, so let's go to the chat and see what people have come up with. Ian has jumped in quickly. Emily says, I did learn about this recently, but I forgot the name. Side note, the statue was designed by John Thomas Riddle Jr. Probably not the intended takeaway from the question, but here we are. I have to check it out next time I'm in Atlanta. Interesting. So not John Thomas Morvello Riddle, right?
But close.
But close. Ian has taken a Karen on this one right off the bat. What I like about Ian is that he didn't wait to see what people answered.
No.
He was like, nope, not a chance. There's no way anyone fucking knows this. I'm out. Jack Coleman is here. I don't know if you guys have been watching Jack Coleman. You should friend him on Facebook. He's been going out and protesting in front of the White House and been a part of all of that. It's hard for us to get out there, unfortunately, although we have heard that there might be something here in Reston, right?
Yep.
So maybe we'll check that out. But
Where?
I think it's over. We heard different opinions on it, right?
There was a permit that was filed to start in the Home Depot parking lot, but it wasn't clear to me what day.
Yeah. So everybody, Jack Coleman, I'm going to post it just so that people can like friend him if you want. Yeah, a very funny comedian from the DC area. But he has been live streaming from the protests down in DC almost every
Good for you,
night.
Jack.
So I'm sure if you send him a friend request, he would be happy to be your friend. And the worst case scenario is you're going to see some actual footage from the protests, so that you don't have to go through the media or all of the other propaganda that's happening. And there's a chance that you're going to hear some really funny jokes later when things calm down, because he's also a very talented man. So I've put his name in the chat. He's over on Facebook live streaming there. He said he's going to go live in 10 minutes. So check him out, everybody. It has been very cool. And I can tell you right now, I've not seen a single person on his stream throw anything or light anything or break anything. None of that's happened. And so it's very cool. Let's see. I looked up confused a bit before because the booty call was carrying out a camera tripod outside. No idea. No freaking idea. Well, I assume that is because the lighting. They need good lighting for their porn. Let's go and see. So the answers again. So Septic went with 1927 as the date.
Not correct.
Right. Robert went with 1914 as the date. I don't know if you're going to allow dates without the first question or not.
Why not?
Okay, why not? We have Africa Town. We have Black Wall Street, which sounds like one of those movies from the 70s, doesn't it?
It does.
It sounds like one of those it's like, where it's what did they call them? The blaxploitation.
Yeah.
It sounds like that. Like Black Wall Street is just like Wolf of Wall Street, but like all African American cast. Let's see. The burning of Black Wall Street was 99 years ago this past weekend, says Emily. Do I get credit for the year with my fact?
Sure.
Sometimes white people burn things because our sports teams lost or won. That is also true. All right. So correct answer. Who are you giving points to?
Black Wall Street.
Black Wall Street gets a point.
1921.
1921. So Emily gets, I think, the first answer.
Yep.
2 points there.
And also a bonus point because you knew it was 99 years ago this past weekend.
There you go. So think about that. The original 33, right? That happened in 1860s.
1868.
Right? And so then we said like 100 years until there was another legislator that came in. But in between then, just one more example, in the 1920s, they were like, oh, are you able to actually start businesses and be productive, and you starting to find a place to live? Cool. That's great. We're going to bomb it and burn it. And
literally bomb it.
Yeah,
with low-flying airplanes. Firebombed it.
yeah. let's keep that in mind. They didn't like just like drop some TNT into a trash bin. They flew planes into a neighborhood and firebombed it.
And that's not the whole horrifying story. It happened over the course of 3 days. You should really look it up. It's really intense.
There was a movie or something that came out about it, right? That I think people, The Watchmen, right? Watchmen had this in it.
Maybe.
Watchmen, I think, had a show or a movie or something like that. I heard somebody talking about that. Anyhow, yeah, go look up your history because if you're wondering why people are upset, if you think maybe they are overreacting to just one man being murdered by police, one innocent man being murdered while in the custody of police, you can probably start looking back at history and understand why they might be upset and why they might be it might not be considered an overreaction. I don't think.
No.
It's just one in a line of things. Will we say have things gotten better? I feel like we can probably say that, but I don't think we can pat ourselves on the back on it getting that much better, right? Because now instead of firebombing neighborhoods, we're throwing people in jail for nonviolent crimes, right? And doing 3-strike rules so that they can't get back out. And so there we go. Oh yeah, in The Watchmen, everybody who was a descendant of someone who died Black Wall Street got reparations. Ah, there you go. So yeah, you can see that if you think about the difference between, basically like, let's see, when was the war over? When was the Civil War over?
I can't do years.
Someone knows this, right? Civil War was over. I can't pull the number out of my head. She's magic and she poofed. That's true.
Yep.
But if you think about all the years between the end of the Civil War and 2020, right?
1865.
1865, right? So if you think of it in those terms, right, where it's a century and a half, do we feel like we've made a century and a half worth of progress?
No.
That's the thing.
I mean, so where we live, where Keith and I live in Reston, Virginia.
Yeah.
We are lucky, right? So we live in a community that was one of the first planned communities in the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the purposes of building this community when Robert E. Simon built it was so African Americans who did not have the opportunity to buy homes elsewhere in the country would have an opportunity to buy a home. So we live in a town that was founded on the idea of equality. And I think the problem is, especially with people around here, is because we don't see like horrifying racist actions don't make the headlines here so often. But that doesn't mean it doesn't happen elsewhere in the country. I think that's part of the problem that people have is that people have this mindset that like, because I don't do racist things, it means it doesn't exist. Like, and that's ridiculous, right? Like, and on top of that, overt racist actions are a problem, and no one's ever going to say they're not a problem, not in this fucking household. But part of the problem is the racism that we don't recognize. You can't call out and stop something that you're not recognizing because you've got blinders, because you have blind spots on the issues. And that, I think, is what we need to work on as people who want to help the African American community, as people who want to see the country go forward. We need to work on what we recognize in society and not turning a blind eye.
Yeah, and I mean, congratulations to all the people who aren't racist. We appreciate that. Continue not being racist, but also just be aware of the fact that there are people struggling around us, and we're really lucky. We live in even our neighborhood is very multicultural. We have Hispanics, and we have Black folks, and we've got people from Asia, and like all kinds of things. It's pretty awesome. And we in our town, by like the edicts of Reston, there has to be low income housing here. So we have several neighborhoods that are low-income housing. No matter how fancy Reston gets, there's always going to be low-income housing here. So there's all
We have
kinds of really great
diversity in a
things.
lot of ways. We have
Yeah.
financial diversity. We have cultural diversity.
And that's one of the reasons I bought a house here, is because I like what it stands for. But go educate yourself. I think it makes it a lot easier to be really offended by things if you start reading up on all the things that happened before, and if you realize that I think if we did a look through of history, if we just went through history and we determined all of the people who are black or African American and were murdered, right? And there was no one arrested for that murder, right? That essentially it's still an open case, right? And then compared that to the number of white people who have been murdered and nobody has ever been found for that murder, I think the numbers would be really stark. I think it would be really upsetting to see what those numbers are, and I think you could start that at the end of the Civil War, right? When it technically became illegal to kill black people, because before then, I think you could probably, since the plantation owners enslaved them, I assume that you could probably kill them and it was considered legal, right? I don't know, but I would imagine that that's probably fine. Bye, Smile. So, yeah, but think about those things. It's disturbing things, and it should be disturbing, and it should be upsetting to you. And you should go and dig into it, because it's okay to be uncomfortable, because a lot of people have spent their entire lives in America being uncomfortable. So it's our turn. We get to do that now. Those are all of the points that we had. Do you want to go over people's scores, and then we will get out of here? You guys can go and...
Do you want to give me shares?
Well, do you want to do that before or after?
Before.
Before, okay. Looks like Robert shared. Emily shared. Jenny shared. Craig shared. And Rose Ellen shared.
Okay.
All right. What do we do?
From the bottom, we have Jenny with 1 point, Trey, Robert, and Ian with 3 points, Rosellen, Renita, Diana with 5 points, Karen with 6 points, Craig with 8 points, Danny with 9 points, and Emily way at the top with 14 points.
Nice job, Emily. Emily is our winner for tonight. Congratulations, Emily. You can have an acceptance speech, and if you would like us to have a color for our studio, you can let us know what you would like that to be.
And for this week, black is a valid color.
Yeah, we'll just keep it blacked out if you'd like.
Out.
So there we have it. That is the whole show. Don't forget, we're here at 7 o'clock every night. As long as we have enough people to actually do this, which is double-digit people watching, you can come join us. And yeah, don't forget to like the show and follow it and subscribe and do all of the things that you would do for anything that you'd want to hear about in the future. I also have a podcast called Another Wasted Hour. You can go check that out anywhere that podcasts are available. Just search for Another Wasted Hour. I would appreciate it if you subscribe to that, and if you would give us a review and some stars and stuff like that. Let's see. Rose Ellen says, thank you for the fun. Going to find my caramel stuffed ice cream cone. I want to find your caramel stuffed ice cream cone. What? That sounds delicious.
Do you need me to buy you an ice cream cone?
Maybe a little bit. Septic says, thanks for the show and have a nice evening. I'm not hearing anything from Emily. She's probably typing it out as we speak.
Probably it's just very long.
It might be. It could very well be. All right, so I don't know. Until we hear from Emily, I'm just going to go through the usual ending because we're a little late on things. Go check out Jack Coleman, by the way. He's going to be streaming live from the D.C. protests.
Thanks for doing that, Jack.
Yeah, Jack is a good man. Let's see. Rose Ellen says, congratulations to the winners. Craig says, thank you again for doing this week. Absolutely. And let's see, what else? Let's just do the ending. We're doing the ending because we'll assume that maybe Emily is off doing her.
Well, she is at a happy hour.
She's at a happy hour, so she might be distracted by that. So,
Renita and Sean are distracting Emily.
as they should. It's good. I'm glad they've all gotten together. So yeah, congratulations to Emily for winning. If we don't hear, we'll continue blacking out the studio because I feel like that's what Emily would want. And so everybody, stay safe. Again, if you're going out to protest, definitely do it safely. We want to see everybody get back safe and sound. Don't distract from what the real message is with violence and looting and stuff like that. We understand why people are sad and angry and scared and need to act out. I get that. We totally get it. But if you can absolve yourself from that, it's going to make it a lot easier for us to make people have to really pay attention to the real message here. But most of all, just make sure you're putting your masks on, making sure you're not touching your face. We want everybody to be healthy because we'll have to probably do this all again very soon. And we'd like to see you back here. So stay healthy. Stay home if you aren't doing something incredibly important. If you're off protesting, do that. But, let's make sure that we are keeping all the distance we need to because there's probably going to be a rise in these cases. Don't forget there is a pandemic happening out there, so do everything you can to protect yourself while you're doing that. Shout out again to all of the folks who have helped the world go round while we've been locked in at home. All of the people who make the world go round and are, essential workers, healthcare workers, delivery people, mechanics, any of those things. We appreciate the sacrifice that you've had. Definitely not seen from Emily, so I think we're just going to sign off. So until 7 o'clock tomorrow, everybody have a good night.
Bye.